Hello and welcome to this video on can we really choose our thoughts? Interesting one, I think. Loads of quotes like Dr. Wayne Dyer, change your thoughts, change your life. And one of my own quotes has always been our creative power lies in our ability to choose our beliefs. And on some level, of course, that's like true. I think maybe it's true on all levels. That's what I'm exploring. So I do a lot of work with the brain integration activities, and there's information on the YouTube channel about that, whereby we install positive beliefs like I love and accept myself, I trust myself, all these ones to install a more positive belief with a higher frequency to help us release those thoughts of inadequacy and not being good enough and stuff like that. So yes, we can choose our thoughts and choose our beliefs on that level, and that's a lot of what the inner work is all about. But then again, on some other things, we have this thing about, is it true? Is it not true? What's true for you? What isn't true for you? And I've talked about that bit before in one of my videos in the Lessons in Awakening. I'll put a link in the description and the video in the end screen to the video about understanding thoughts. Understanding thoughts, your thoughts and the thoughts of others. And I relate it to the map of consciousness and how our reality is a reflection of our own frequency. So if you're living in a frequency of fear, you will be creating a reality of fear. And if you're living in the frequency of love, you will be creating a more loving reality for yourself. So therefore, what is true for one person isn't going to be true for another. So we can't really argue about some things like what is true, okay? Because something's going to be fearful, that person, and it's not going to be fearful for the other person. And our thoughts are connected to our experiences, of course. If you have a bad experience, or an experience that you perceive as bad or negative in some way, that's going to give you a whole load of thoughts. Our emotions are also attached to our thoughts. And I've talked about this in previous videos, that if you have a past experience that you're perceiving as negative, because you have attached negative emotions to it. And if you can clear those emotions and choose to see it as a learning curve, an opportunity for spiritual growth, an opportunity for forgiveness, an opportunity for understanding, an opportunity to looking at it from a soul level, and all of those kind of things that I've talked about in previous videos, then very often we can release those the emotional trauma attached to the event, and then the event then becomes just neither negative or positive. In fact, you can look at it as positive if you then choose to look at it as in, it helped me learn to love myself, or it helped me get out of that situation, or whatever it might be. So we can shift negative thoughts about past experiences into positive thoughts by shifting the emotions attached to them. So that's also another way of choosing our thoughts. But then there are some things, we hear that, truth is subjective. Like I'm saying, it's true for one person, but not for another. And there's the phrase 144 sides to truth and stuff like that. So it's an interesting topic, I think. And you see these pictures, don't you, of like the number 6. But then from the other side, it's the number 9. And one little guy in the cartoon or whatever is going, it's a 6, it's a 6. And the other guy is going, it's a 9, it's a 9. But of course, they're both right, but looking at it from completely different experiences, completely different spatial awareness, so completely different directions, completely different, sides of things. And there's that other one, I think, about the cylinder. There's a cylinder, and if you look at a cylinder from one angle, it looks like a circle, doesn't it? And if you look at a cylinder from the side, it looks like a rectangle. And it's that same picture, isn't it? It's a circle, it's a rectangle, and in fact, it's a cylinder. So they're both right. but they're not looking at the bigger picture. And I think that's where we're going with this. I think that might be where I'm going with this, looking at the bigger picture. Because in today's world, I don't need to tell you that there's a whole load of thoughts going on and a whole load of opinions and a whole load of unrest that is accompanying those thoughts. I'm always going to bring it back to which thoughts are going to bring you the most peace inside. Because as anyone that's seen my videos before will know that I'm a firm believer in creating as much love and peace within you, within your heart, within your being as possible, because it is that frequency that is creating your reality. And as a collective, it's that frequency that's creating our world. And that's why we want to do whatever we can to create a state of peace and love and harmony and joy and all those lovely things in our hearts. And we know that we have to rise above the separation. There's a lot going on in the denser energetic world, shall we call it, or the 3D, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, that's focusing on separation. And most of us have done really well. We're not, generally speaking, we're not racist, we're not sexist, we're not classist. Most of us have lived our life not being separated and not feeling a separation between people, even though some people might say the world around us was trying to get us divided on these topics. But now we get to a stage where it's difficult to feel the oneness, because there is so much now to feel divided about. And this is where I think it's important to understand that we need to rise above. We need to rise above the thoughts, because the thoughts are in the duality, aren't they? And the thoughts, it's like us and them, or, well, yeah, very much so. Even in the conscious community. There seems to be a lot of, us and them, and, those that chose to do this and those that chose to do that, or those that believe this and those that believe that. And who's to say whether it's true or not? I mean, and of course we can all argue, but this is true and here's the evidence, and this is true and here's the evidence. And there's more and more evidence. But, in our world, we create our own reality, and our higher selves create the reality that we need for the lessons that we need to evolve. So if you look for something, you will find it. We know this. If you look for problems, you'll find it. And if you look for love, you'll find it. So yeah, then everyone's kind of fighting to find evidence of things. And I don't think it's about that. I think we're at a stage now of evolution where we need to literally rise above the whole thoughts process, because thoughts and emotions, and I've said this before in the Mastering Your Thoughts and Emotions, and I've got a video on emotions in general, understanding them, and the everything is energy. My lessons in awakening, basically. So this is about rising above thoughts, because thoughts are fourth dimensional. The thoughts are our mental processes, as are our emotions. And with our emotions and thoughts are in the fourth dimension. And that's what we're transcending in order to access higher levels of consciousness, in order to access fifth dimensional levels of consciousness. So it is all about transcending our thoughts and transcending our emotions, observing our emotions, processing our emotions, understanding our thoughts, choosing our thoughts, so that we can go to the higher parts of the fourth dimension where the thoughts are positive and the emotions are positive, rather than being programmed, if that makes sense. But I do want to go off on a little sideline. I might be thinking too much about this, because I am Virgo after all. We do like to analyze the shit out of everything. But basically, if your reason for not wanting to believe something, okay, if your reason for not wanting to believe something is fear, then I think that fear needs to be addressed. Because fear, as we have just discussed, is a low frequency emotion. And if it's within you, and it is within all of us, a lot of people will say there's only two emotions, love and fear. Fear is everything that isn't love. And I'm a firm believer of that as well. So, but if that your reason for not wanting to take on board a belief um, that you think might be true, or that other people are telling you is true, right? And you're like, no, I don't want to believe it. I don't want to believe it. You don't have to believe it. You choose your beliefs, right? But if your reason for not wanting to believe it is fear, then you need to understand that that fear is within you and is asking to be processed. And by not exploring whatever it is that you think is going to give you the fear, it's a thought, it's a belief, it's an opinion, I don't know, whatever it might be. If your reason for not exploring it is because you don't want to feel this fear, then you are literally pushing down that fear. And we are emotional beings, right? We are full of emotions. And the whole point, if anyone's seen my other videos, of course, it's about processing those emotions. And I think what our higher self does is it brings us opportunities to express and to process the emotions that need to come up. Because now a lot of people have processed the emotions from this lifetime. I do a lot of past life healing, a lot of ancestral healing, and those of you that have done a lot of inner work will know that we're processing for the whole collective, So when we feel an emotion, that's why this last couple of years has been massive and emotional, because when we're expressing and processing those emotions, we really are cleansing those emotions from the whole collective. Okay. It's all part of this inner work. You are the whole universe in one human being, remember. You're not just a drop in the ocean. You're the whole ocean in one drop. So you're not just a human being in the universe. You're the whole universe in one human being. So when you are aware of that and when you're conscious of that, and that's why it comes back to your level of consciousness always, then when you're processing an emotion, you can actively choose to process it from yourself, from your gene line, from your ancestors, from your culture, from the collective, from your past lives, from everything, So processing these emotions is really important. It was Sigmund Freud that said, unexpressed emotions never die. They just get buried and they will come back later in uglier ways. And that's true. And it was Bernie Siegel that said, if you have an emotional trauma, you're going to grow. Whether you grow spiritually or whether you grow a tumor, the choice is yours. In other words, those emotions that we have trapped within the cells of our body are not serving us at all. And we really do want to be processing them, feeling them. When I say process, what do I mean? I mean, feel them. The reason they're suppressed is because you didn't want to feel them. There's loads of reasons why we do that. And you'll have to look at other videos for that. But if you have fear coming up in you in any shape or form, because of a belief that you don't want to have, someone's telling you a belief and trying to get you to believe it, and you don't want to believe it because of the fear, then it is important for you to process that fear, because pushing it down is not going to help you. It's going to make you sick. But processing that fear is going to be scary, of course, but then you need to go to the next level, which is I want to talk about, which is about rising above all of that. Now, we often hear the phrase, there's a bit of a drama, we often might say to our kids, rise above it. If there's someone playing around in the playground or whatever, rise above their nasty comments or rise above this. But it is true. We really do need to rise above the division. We need to not only rise above the division, rising above the separation, rising above the matrix, rising above the 3D. That's what we're doing. Rising above, raising our level of consciousness above that of the masses. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're literally rising above, because this duality, this right and wrong, there's a lot of that going on. You're wrong, I'm right. Well, that's ego. We've already seen that what's right for one person might not be right for another. And also, so what if you're right? You're right for you. That's great. So, it's about you looking after you. Okay. Yes, we do want to help others. I just said I'm Pego, we're here to serve. But it's how we do it, guys. And it's understanding that we can help others by healing ourselves. Okay. That's my ultimate objective here. So basically, we want to literally rise above the separation, the drama, the duality. So rise above anything that separates anybody. We've got to go to the next dimension. And we've just talked about the 3D, the 4D, the 5D. Okay, the 4D is the emotions and the thoughts. If we want to access fifth dimensional levels of consciousness, then we need to rise above the fourth dimension. And that means rising above all forms of separation, because we're looking for oneness, right? We're looking for unity. We are all one. And that's why the world has gone crazy on thoughts and beliefs and opinions and all of this, because we need to learn this lesson. And this is the lesson for us to learn at the moment, rising above it. Now, how do we do that? I'm going to quote my good friend and mentor, Liz Nagle. And if you haven't heard me talk about Liz Nagle, or you haven't met her on video, or maybe in real life, then check out my YouTube channel. I have a section called Self Mastery with Liz Nagle, and I will put her contact details in the description. So this is something that she shared with me, and it has been invaluable to my own processing of stuff. So she talks about thoughts as being balloons that float around above us. Okay, and they have these strings coming down, you know, and you can grab a string and bring that thought into your energy field, because we are all energy, right? So we have this energy field, and these are all thoughts, which are all energy. They're all, you know, there's emotions attached to them as well, remember? And we can bring them in through our consciousness, through our choice. Remember, we can bring them in, and we can hold on tightly to them if we want. So let's pick an example. Let's say you've messaged a friend, sent them an audio or something, and they haven't got back to you. And they haven't got back to you again and again and again. And you don't know what's going on. You can choose your belief, can't you, about that? Some people might go, oh, they're ignoring me. Oh, I've upset them. There's two already. Oh, they don't like me anymore. Whatever. I'm picking a trivial example, but just for the point, you know. So all these thoughts, they're busy. They haven't had time. They haven't seen it, you know, or they forgot to reply, or, you know, they're waiting for enough time to send me the most loving reply possible. All those are thoughts, and you can choose which one you have. They're all balloons, because you don't know why that friend hasn't replied, do you? Let's be honest. But you can make it up, can't you? And you can choose which one. Now, if you pull this one is like, they're ignoring me, they don't like me anymore, they don't want to be my friend. How does that make you feel? That doesn't make me feel very good. That makes me feel quite contracted, makes me feel unappreciated, unloved, you know. So I'm not going to hold on to that one. Ding, let it go. And even if that turns out to be the case, there's still more balloons there. And I can go, okay, here's a thought. Okay, there's a friendship for a season. What do they say? A friendship for a reason, or whatever. And it's all served a purpose, and I love them, and go in peace. That's a nice way to be expanded, you know, when friends are moving off and drifting, or coming in and drifting, and all of this that friends do. Or you can pick another one that goes, oh, she's waiting for enough time, or he's waiting for enough time to send me the most loving reply. Oh, how does that make you feel? Oh, it's really nice, you know. It expands you. You can choose it. Or, here comes the big bit, let go of all the balloons. Just let go of all of the balloons. This is the point I want to make. It's not about our thoughts. It's not about our beliefs. It's not about our opinions. And it's not about being right or wrong. It's not about being better or worse. It's not about being divided. It's not about being separated. It's about our attachment to the belief. It's about our attachment to those thoughts. It's about our attachment to those balloons that are flying over. Okay? So now all the balloons are flying over, and I can have a thought about something, anything, you know. It could be a negative thought or a positive thought. It could be a thought that makes me feel good, a thought that makes me feel righteous. Could be a thought that makes me feel better than others. It could be a thought about, you know, I'm right, they're wrong. It could be a thought that expands me. It could be a thought that contracts me. There's all these thoughts floating about. The point is, I don't have to pick any of them. And this really helps if you're trying to meditate and eliminate all your thoughts. Just visualize them all as balloons, and off they go. But we obviously need to think occasionally, because we have, you know, stuff to do. And that's fine. So you can go and pick the balloon that you need for the occasion, and you can just bring that balloon in, and you can hold on to that balloon, and then you can talk about it. So I've got a lot of thoughts going on at the moment doing this video, and I wrote some of them down. So it's like, oh, I've got a few balloons and I'm holding on to them and I'm talking about them. Do you see how it's working? I'm just talking about them and I'm holding on to the balloons. It's making me quite happy, you can see. But I can also let go of those balloons. I'm not attached to it. So there could be a thought that you have about something going on in the world, something that's happening, and things that you're trying to get other people to believe. Okay. But they might be in fear and they might need to process their own emotions. In which case, I do want to put a link in the description and the video in the end screen to my video on understanding triggers. So if some thoughts and beliefs that you're kind of scared of believing, and there's a part of you that thinks it might be true or that you might need to explore it a bit more, okay, but it's fear that's stopping you, then I suggest you look at my video on understanding triggers, because it will help you process the fear, okay? But then when you're in that situation, then make sure you understand that you can let go of the balloon. So there can be new idea coming in, okay? And there's a lot of those going on at the moment. You could be looking at alternative news, you could be looking at mainstream media, you could be looking at no news. It could be stuff coming, downloads in meditation, stuff going on in your family, whatever. You can choose the balloon, you can hold on to it, you can think about it, talk about it, discuss it, do whatever you like. Have a conversation about it, but just hold on to it like this and not like this, you know? And it's like, okay, I can let that balloon go. And, you know, there are going to be some balloons that are circling above you, and their counter belief is right over there. It doesn't come near you, because when we bring ourselves into the matrix, you know, there are some beliefs that we're really adamant about, aren't there? There are some beliefs that we're really sure about. Well, I think so. That's a thought. That's my thought. And I'm really hanging on to that one, but I can let go of that one as well. But there are thoughts that are hanging above me that I do talk about. There are things that I do entertain. There are things that, you know, I might try and pass this balloon on to someone else. I might bring this balloon in. Here's a thought. Listen to this thought. Have this balloon. Look, isn't it a pretty balloon? This balloon is making me feel okay. I feel some real resonance with this balloon. So why don't you have this balloon, and I can start trying to give this balloon to other people. They might take it, they might not take it. It doesn't matter. Let go of the balloon. Let go of the balloon. Let go of your attachment to the balloon, because that way we can rise above and then see all of these balloons, and we can just pick the one that says we are all one. We are all one, but we can just let go of the attachment. You know, so here's a balloon and it's like, I'm really attached to this belief, this thought. You can't change my mind. I'm keeping this. You can't change my mind because I'm right and you're wrong. You know, and then you try and change other people's minds. That balloon that you've got, that's not a good balloon. You shouldn't have that balloon. Just look at it from a higher level of consciousness. They've got that balloon. Let them just hold that balloon for a while. They're looking at it. They're exploring that balloon. It's fine. Okay? Don't be attached to your balloons, and don't be attached to other people's balloons that they've got. You know, just let go of all of the balloons. Can you do that? Now, this is bringing you into the work of Byron Katie, who famously says, is it true? So there, I'm going to pick a balloon. There's a balloon. It says something about what's going on in the world. And I'm like, yep, that resonates with me. That's the truth. That's the truth. I know this. Okay. Yeah, it might well be for most of the collective. This way, right? This is what's beautiful about it. You don't deny anybody else's balloons. I'm not going to deny anybody else's balloons. You know, so you could say to me, but this is true, and this is true, and this is true. And I'm like, you're holding on to those balloons. I can hold on to those balloons. Hang on a minute. Let me get those balloons. Yep, I've got them. And then I can have a conversation with you about it, because I'm hanging on to these balloons as well. So I agree with you because I've got the same balloons as you, right? I hope this is making sense, because it really helped me. And I have to be honest, it was taught to me a lot quicker than this, but I'm just kind of going over and over it again, I think, for my own sake. But I can let go of the balloons. I'm not attached to them. So if somebody argues with me, okay, about the balloons that I'm holding or talking about, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to argue back because I'm not that attached to the balloon. Especially if the balloon is attached to the matrix, especially if the balloon is attached to the third dimension, especially if the balloon is attached to evil or low frequency fear, despair, any of that. You know, if the balloon is connected to the entanglement of the lower frequencies that's holding everybody down, I'm not attached to it. I can let go of it because we are all one. We know this. We need to feel it. And I think this is a really good opportunity to help us choose the beliefs that are going to serve us and not be attached to them. Not be attached to them. Not to start jumping up and down and going, I've got this balloon. Look, I've got this balloon. Have you got the same balloon? You need to have the same balloon as me. That's the wrong balloon. See, the energy's not right. So, oh, let go of all the balloons. And here's a balloon. Let's talk about it. Here's a balloon. Let's talk about it. We need to create that peace inside of us. And we create our own suffering by hanging on too tightly to the balloons. So I'm inviting you to have a look at all your balloons that you're hanging on to and you're holding on really tightly. Ask yourself, is it true? Does it have to be true? Do I have to hang on so tightly? Can I let go of all of the balloons? It doesn't mean that you're not going to live the rest of your life. It doesn't mean that you're not going to think ever again. It just means, can I release my attachment to being right? Can I release my attachment to these thoughts that keep changing anyway? Can I release my attachment to it all so that I have peace in my heart and I can just look at thoughts floating by and I can choose one to talk about it, to believe for a while, and then let go of it. I'm not attached. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Because when we say rise above, okay, I think we literally mean rising above the physicality. Rise above the physical world. Not just rising above it as in walking away. I always used to think, stick your nose in the air and walk away and don't get involved with that kind of behavior. Yeah, not bad advice, but I'm talking about really rise above the whole physical, not just the matrix, not just the 3D, rise above all of it and tap into who you really are. Tap into that love, light being that is coming to you and through you. And you are the physical mouthpiece for your soul's self-expression in the physical world. But at the end of the day, that's all we are. We are the physical mouthpiece. We are the instrument that plays our soul's music and expresses our soul's true desires. That's why we need to pick some thoughts to bring them in to help us do that. But it will always be thoughts that expand us. Always be thoughts that inspire us. Always it be thoughts that help us grow and learn more about ourselves and to expand into higher levels of consciousness, higher states of being, into love and joy and peace and harmony. If we rise above the whole physical and see ourselves as that light and love that flows from the forever source, and it comes in through you, through your physical being. Now, can you use that life force to bring more love into your world? Can you bring that life force to bring more love into your family? And can you bring that life force to bring more love into the collective? This is our challenge. This is what we're doing, and this is how we create heaven on earth. I think that's it. As always, I love you all. Take care. See you in the next video. Bye for now.